Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. More specifically, welcome to the Wandumentary, the most comprehensive guide on the meanings behind wand history, woods, cores, lengths, and more. Why wands, you ask? Well, they're one of the foundations of Harry Potter. Let's start with a history lesson. Considered to be a complex and mysterious branch of magic, wand-making refers to a wand-maker using wand cores and woods to construct wands for witches and wizards. The profession dates back many centuries, and the earliest known wand-makers were said to have been druids. A druid was considered to be, in Celtic times, a member of the learned and priestly class. Druids considered anything with a woody stem to be a tree, which led to them producing wands out of things like vine, a tradition followed by wandmaker Garrick Ollivander in the 20th century. Though druids were skilled at their craft, at this stage in history, it was still totally normal for a customer of a wand shop to bring their own core with them, a tradition that has basically fallen off in more recent times. The first wand-making shops were known to date back to the establishment of Ollivander's wand shop in 382 BC. The original Ollivander, the ancestor of Garrick Ollivander, was thought to have come from a Mediterranean country in Roman times and set up a stall in what would eventually become Diagon Alley. The etymology of the name Ollivander is said to literally mean he who owns the olive wand, which is a very fitting name and further points to him coming from a Mediterranean country, where olive trees would grow natively. The Ollivander family revolutionized wand-making when they publicly forsook the traditional wand-making process, which previously had witches and wizards procure their own wand core. Ollivander believed that this process produced wands that were inferior in quality and performance, which led to the family procuring all wand components for future customers. Ollivander researched the best wand cores and would always find the best wand wood to complement it, and where the purchaser would previously select a wand of their choosing, he began the tradition of having the wand choose the wizard. Now, if you're any sort of Harry Potter fan at all, then you'll know that wands are tools that witches and wizards use to channel their magic. We're introduced to Ollivander's wand shop right near the beginning of the Philosopher's Stone, when Harry's picking up his supplies for Hogwarts. Harry is ultimately given an 11-inch wand made of holly, with a phoenix feather core, and what's interesting about wands is that they choose the wizard, rather than the other way around. Wizards and wands share an almost symbiotic relationship, and that's why some wands simply won't work for certain people. A wand is the object through which a witch or wizard channels his or her magic. It is made from wood and has a magical substance at its core. Wands made by Ollivander have cores of phoenix feather, unicorn hair, or dragon heartstring, and are of varying woods, lengths, and flexibilities. As shown above, wands come in a variety of shapes, colors, sizes, flexibilities, and materials. The main parameters that differentiate each wand are as follows: length, flexibility, wood type, and lastly, core type. Each element is just as important as the last. But before we get into the meanings behind the woods and cores, let me first briefly explain two other overlooked wand characteristics, their lengths and flexibilities. Length generally pertains to the size and or character of the witch, wizard. Most wands are between 9 to 15 inches long. Wand makers often match the wand length to the height of the witch or wizard who will use it, but Ollivander considers this measure inadequate. In his experience, longer than average wands tend to be drawn to those with a physical peculiarity or a bigger personality, whereas abnormally short ones select people whose character lacks in something. Notably, characters like Gilderoy Lockhart, Quirinus Quirrell, and Peter Pettigrew had quite small wands, reflective of their weakness in character. On the flip side of this, characters like Hagrid, Neville, and even Ollivander himself had quite large wands, reflective of either their physical stature and or strength of character. Okay, now what about flexibility? What does that have to do with anything? According to Pottermore, wand flexibility is important, but should not be looked at as a standalone component, but rather a piece of a whole package. Wand flexibility or rigidity denotes the degree of adaptability and willingness to change possessed by the wand and owner pair, although again, this factor ought not to be considered separately from the wand wood, core and length, nor of the owner's life experience and style of magic, all of which will combine to make the wand in question unique. Alright, so now that we've got length and flexibility out of the way, let's move on to the big stuff, wand woods and cores, starting with woods. The wood used in a wand is the component with the highest variability, as there are 38 different types available. The number of different wood materials used to make wands make them very personal, and is one of the reasons that one wand can look so unlike the next. Ollivander discusses which trees can produce wood for wands here. Only a minority of trees can produce wand-quality wood, just as a minority of humans can produce magic. It takes years of experience to tell which ones have the gift, although the job is made easier if bowtruckles are found nesting in the leaves, as they never inhabit mundane trees. Today, I'm going to be starting off our wand journey by discussing every wand wood in existence, that is, every wood material that could potentially be used to make a wand. A lot of information pertaining to wands is best described by Ollivander himself, so I'm going to be using his own explanations. After the woods, I'll explain the cause, and then I've got some bonus content for you when all of that is over. Let's get into the woods, starting in alphabetical order. Acacia. Acacia is a large genus of shrubs and trees that belongs to the subfamily Mimosoideae of the family Fabaceae, first described in Africa. Apparently, this type of wandwood is particularly hard to match with a witch or wizard. Ollivander had this to say: "A very unusual wandwood, which I have found creates tricky wands that often refuse to produce magic for any but their owner, and also withhold their best effects from all but those most gifted. This sensitivity renders them difficult to place, and I keep only a small stock for those witches or wizards of sufficient subtlety, for acacia is not suited to what is commonly known as bang and smells magic." The only known wizard to have potentially had this material in his wand is Jacob's sibling from the Hogwarts mystery game. Alder. Alder is the common name of a genus of flowering plants, Ulmus, belonging to the birch family Betulaceae. The genus Ulmus comprises about 30 species of different trees and shrubs that are commonly found near streams, rivers, and wetlands. Ollivander had this to say: "Alder is an unyielding wood, yet I have discovered that its ideal owner is not stubborn or obstinate, but often helpful, considerate, and most likable. Whereas most wandwoods seek similarity in the characters of those that they will best serve, Alder is unusual in that it seems to desire a nature that is, if not precisely opposite to its own, then certainly of a markedly different type." He also added that it is best suited to non-verbal spellwork. Quirinus Quirrell notably used an alder wand that was 9 inches in length. Apple. I'm sure you've heard of apple trees before, which come from the species Malus domestica in the rose family. Ollivander had this to say: "Applewood wands are not made in great numbers. They are powerful and best suited to an owner of high aims and ideals, as this wood mixes poorly with dark magic. It is said that the possessor of an apple wand will be well loved and long lived, and I have often noticed that customers of great personal charm find their perfect match in an applewood wand." One other interesting aspect of applewood wand owners is that they can commonly converse with other magical beings in their native tongues. On that note, a wizard by the name of Dylan Marwood, who authored Merpeople, a comprehensive guide to their language and customs, was known to have used an applewood wand. Ash. The ash tree is a type of tree belonging to the genus Fraxinus, containing flowering plants in the olive and lilac family. Ollivander had this to say: "The ash wand cleaves to its one true master and ought not to be passed on or gifted from the original owner, because it will lose power and skill. This tendency is extreme if the core is of unicorn. Old superstitions regarding wands rarely bear close examination, but I find that the old rhyme regarding rowan, chestnut, ash, and hazel wands, rowan gossips, chestnut drones, ash is stubborn, hazel moans, contains a small nugget of truth." He also added that the ideal owner may be stubborn and will certainly be courageous, but never crass or arrogant. On the vein of ought not to be passed on or gifted, this is actually the wand that was passed down from Charlie Weasley to Ron Weasley, hence why Ron had so many difficulties with his first wand. Aspen. Aspen is a common name for certain tree species, some of which are classified by the genus Populus. These types of trees are endemic to the northern hemisphere. Ollivander had this to say: "Wand-quality aspen wood is white and fine-grained, and is highly prized by all wandmakers for its stylish resemblance to ivory and its usually outstanding charm work. The proper owner of the aspen wand is often an accomplished duelist, or destined to be so, for the aspen wand is one of those particularly suited to martial magic. Bearing that in mind, there are no known owners of an aspen wand, according to canon, other than members of an infamous and secretive 18th century dueling club called the Silver Spears, which would only admit those who used an aspen wand. Beech. Beech is the common name for a genus of 10 species of deciduous trees in the family Fabaceae. These types of trees are endemic to Great Britain. Ollivander had this to say: "The true match for a beech wand will be, if young, wise beyond his or her years, and if full-grown, rich in understanding and experience. Beech wands perform very weakly for the narrow-minded and intolerant. Such wizards and witches, having obtained a beech wand without having been suitably matched, yet coveting this most desirable, richly hued and highly prized wandwood, have often presented themselves at the homes of learned wandmakers such as myself, demanding to know the reason for their handsome wand's lack of power. When properly matched, the beech wand is capable of a subtlety and artistry rarely seen in any other wand, hence its lustrous reputation. I wasn't able to find any information on witches or wizards that use a beech wand." Blackthorn. Blackthorn, aka Prunus spinosa, is a species of flowering plant in the rose family Rosaceae. It is native to Europe, Western Asia, and locally in Northwest Africa. Ollivander had this to say: "Blackthorn, which is a very unusual wandwood, has the reputation, in my view well merited, of best being suited to the warrior. This does not necessarily mean that its owner practices the dark arts, although it is undeniable that those who do so will enjoy the blackthorn wand's prodigious power. One finds blackthorn wands among the auras as well as among the denizens of Azkaban. As far as wizards that use blackthorn wands, only 2 are known. The first is Sir Cadogan, a wizard and sworn knight of the Round Table, and the second was an unnamed snatcher." Black walnut. Black walnut is a specific type of walnut that is native to eastern North America, growing mainly in wetlands. Ollivander had this to say: "Less common than the standard walnut wand, that of black walnut seeks a master of good instincts and powerful insight. Black walnut is a very handsome wood, but not the easiest to master. It has one pronounced quirk, which is that it is abnormally attuned to inner conflict, and loses power dramatically if its possessor practices any form of self-deception. This wandwood is said to be particularly useful when it comes to charm work. There are no known witches or wizards in canon that use this wandwood." Cedar. Cedar, aka Cedrus, is a genus of coniferous trees in the plant family Pinaceae. They are native to the mountains of the western Himalayas and the Mediterranean region. Ollivander had this to say: "Whenever I meet one who carries a cedar wand, I find strength of character and unusual loyalty. My father, Gervase Ollivander, used to always say, 'You will never fool the cedar carrier,' and I agree. The cedar wand finds its perfect home where there is perspicacity and perception. One known cedar wand owner is none other than Professor Horace Slughorn." Cherry. Now, I'm sure you've heard of cherry trees before, trees that come from the genus Prunus. I'm sure you've also heard of some of the witches and wizards that use cherry wands. But first, let's hear what Ollivander has to say. "This very rare wandwood creates a wand of strange power, most highly prized by the wizarding students of the school Mahutukoro in Japan, where those who own cherry wands have special prestige. The Western wand purchaser should dispel from their minds any notion that the pink blossom of the living tree makes for a frivolous or merely ornamental wand, for cherrywood often makes a wand that possesses truly lethal power. Known cherry wand owners include Neville Longbottom, Gilderoy Lockhart, and Albus Potter." Chestnut. Chestnuts are a group of 8 or 9 species of deciduous trees and shrubs in the genus Castanea, in the beech family Fabaceae. They are native to temperate regions of the Northern Hemisphere. The name chestnut also refers to the edible nuts produced by these trees. Ollivander had this to say: "This is a most curious, multifaceted wood, which varies greatly in its character depending on the wand core, and takes a great deal of color from the personality that possesses it. The wand of chestnut is attracted to witches and wizards who are skilled tamers of magical beasts, those who possess great gifts in herbology, and those who are natural flyers. Known chestnut wand owners include Peter Pettigrew." Cypress. Cypress is the name applied to many of the plants belonging to the cypress family. Most cypress species are trees, while a few are shrubs. Ollivander had this to say: cypress wands are associated with nobility. The great medieval wandmaker, Garrick Ollivander, wrote that he was always honoured to match a cypress wand, for he knew he was meeting a witch or wizard who would die a heroic death. Fortunately, in these less bloodthirsty times, the possessors of cypress wands are rarely called upon to lay down their lives, though doubtless many of them would do so if required. Known cypress wand owners include Remus Lupin, which fits perfectly. Dogwood. Dogwood comes from Cornus, a genus of about 30 to 60 species of woody plants in the family Cornaceae, which can generally be distinguished by their blossoms, berries, and distinctive bark. Ollivander had this to say: dogwood is one of my own personal favourites, and I have found that matching a dogwood wand with its ideal owner is always entertaining. Dogwood wands are quirky and mischievous. They have playful natures and insist upon partners who can provide them with scope for excitement and fun. It would be quite wrong, however, to deduce from this that dogwood wands are not capable of serious magic when called upon to do so. One peculiar aspect of dogwood wands, however, is that they refuse to perform non-verbal magic. There are no known witches wizards in canon that use a dogwood wand. Ebony. Ebony is a dense black-brown hardwood, most commonly yielded by several species in the genus Diospyros. It is finely textured and has a mirror finish when polished, making it valuable as an ornamental wood. Ollivander had this to say: this jet black wandwood has an impressive appearance and reputation, being highly suited to all manners of combative magic and to transfiguration. Ebony is happiest in the hand of those with the courage to be themselves. Frequently nonconformist, highly individual, or comfortable with the status of outsider, ebony wand owners have been found both among the ranks of the Order of the Phoenix and among the Death Eaters. There are no known witches wizards in canon that use an ebony wand. Elder. You have got to know this one. Elderwood, which is the rarest wood of all, comes from the genus Sambucus, a genus of between 5 and 30 species of shrubs or small trees in the Mauchatel family. Ollivander had this to say: the rarest wandwood of all, and reputed to be deeply unlucky, the Elder Wand is trickier to master than any other. It contains powerful magic, but scorns to remain with any owner who is not the superior of his or her company. It takes a remarkable wizard to keep the Elder Wand for any length of time. The old superstition, Wand of Elder, never prosper, has its basis in this fear of the wand, but in fact, the superstition is baseless, and those foolish wandmakers who refuse to work with Elder do so more because they doubt that they will be able to sell their products than from fear of working with this wood. Known owners of wands, well, one wand containing Elderwood, include Antioch Peveril, Emmerich the Evil, Egbert the Egregious, Godelo, Herwood, Barnabas Cuff, Loxius, Grigorovich, Grindelwald, Dumbledore, Malfoy, and Harry Potter. Elm. Elms are deciduous and semi-deciduous trees comprising the flowering plant genus Ulmus in the plant family Ulmaceae. These trees are spread over most of the northern hemisphere. Ollivander had this to say: the truth is that elm wands prefer owners with presence, magical dexterity, and a certain native dignity. Of all wonderwoods, elm, in my experience, produces the fewest accidents, the least foolish errors, and the most elegant charms and spells. These are sophisticated wands, capable of highly advanced magic in the right hands. Lucius Malfoy inherited his own elm wand from his father, Abraxas Malfoy. English oak. English oak is a species of flowering plant in the beech and oak family, Fagaceae. It is native to most of Western Europe. Ollivander had this to say: a wand for good times and bad. This is a friend as loyal as the wizard who deserves it. Wands of English oak demand partners of strength, courage, and fidelity. Less well known is the propensity for owners of English oak wands to have powerful intuition and, often, an affinity with the magic of the natural world, with the creatures and plants that are necessary to wizard kind for both magic and pleasure. Known owners of oak wands include Rubeus Hagrid and, potentially, the most powerful wizard to have ever lived, Merlin. Fir. Firs are a genus of 48 to 56 species of evergreen coniferous trees in the family Pinaceae. They are found through much of North and Central America, Europe, Asia, and North Africa, occurring in mountains over most of the range. Ollivander had this to say of firwood. My great-grandfather, Gerbold Octavius Ollivander, always called wands of this wood the survivor's wand, because he had sold it to 3 wizards who subsequently passed through mortal peril unscathed. There is no doubt that this wood, coming as it does from the most resilient of trees, produces wands that demand staying power and strength of purpose in their true owners, and that they are poor tools in the hands of the changeable and indecisive. Fir wands are particularly suited to transfiguration. Minerva McGonagall notably used a wand made of fir. Makes sense. Hawthorn. Hawthorn is a species of flowering plant in the rose family Rosaceae. It is native to Europe, northwestern Africa, and West Asia, but has also been introduced in many other parts of the world. Interestingly, Ollivander and wandmaker Grigorovich, who often disagree, are on the same page about this one. Grigorovich had this to say: Hawthorn makes a strange, contradictory wand, as full of paradoxes as the tree that gave it birth, whose leaves and blossoms heal, and yet whose cut branches smell of death. Ollivander continues, while I disagree with many of Grigorovich's conclusions, we concur about Hawthorn wands, which are complex and intriguing in their natures, just like the owners who best suit them. Hawthorn wands may be particularly suited to healing magic, but they are also adept at curses, and I have generally observed that the Hawthorn wand seems most at home with a conflicted nature, or with a witch or wizard passing through a period of turmoil. Draco Malfoy notably used a wand made of hawthorn. Hazel. Hazel is a genus of deciduous trees and large shrubs native to the temperate northern hemisphere. Ollivander had this to say: a sensitive wand, hazel often reflects its owner's emotional state, and works best for a master who understands and can manage their own feelings. Others should be very careful handling a hazel wand if its owner has recently lost their temper or suffered a serious disappointment, because the wand will absorb such energy and discharge it unpredictably. Sipple Trelawney notably used a wand made of hazel. Holly. Holly comes from the genus Ilexis, which is comprised of about 480 species of flowering plants in the family Aquifoliaceae. The species are evergreen or deciduous trees, shrubs, and climbers from tropics to temperate zones worldwide. Ollivander had this to say: Holly is one of the rarer kinds of wandwoods, traditionally considered protective. It works most happily for those who may need help overcoming a tendency to anger and impetuosity. At the same time, holly wands often choose owners who are engaged in some dangerous and often spiritual quest. Harry Potter, the boy who lived, notably used a wand made of holly. Hornbeam. Hornbeams are hardwood trees in the flowering plant genus Carpinus in the birch family. The 30 to 40 species can be found across much of the temperate regions of the northern hemisphere. Ollivander, who has a hornbeam wand himself, had this to say: My own wand is made of hornbeam, and so it is with all due modesty that I state that hornbeam selects for its life mate the talented witch or wizard with a single, pure passion, which some might call obsession, though I prefer the term vision, which will almost always be realized. Hornbeam wands adapt more quickly than almost any other to their owner's style of magic, and will become so personalized so quickly that other people will find them extremely difficult to use, even for the most simple of spells. Two known owners of hornbeam wands include Ollivander, as mentioned above, and Victor Crumb. Larch. Larches are deciduous conifers from the genus Larix. These plants can grow anywhere from 20 to 45 meters tall, and are native to much of the cooler, temperate northern hemisphere. Ollivander had this to say: Strong, durable, and warm in color, larch has long been valued as an attractive and powerful wandwood. Its reputation for instilling courage and confidence in the user has ensured that demand has always outstripped supply. This much sought-after wand is, however, hard to please in the matter of ideal owners, and trickier to handle than many imagine. I find that it always creates wands of hidden talents and unexpected effects, which likewise describes the master who deserves it. Celestina Warbeck, a Hogwarts graduate and popular singer, notably used a wand made of larch. Laurel. Laurel belongs to the genus Laurus, which is comprised of evergreen trees. Ollivander had this to say of laurelwood. It is said that a laurel wand cannot perform a dishonorable act, although in the quest for glory, a not uncommon goal for those best suited to these wands, I have known laurel wands perform powerful and sometimes lethal magic. Laurel wands are sometimes called fickle, but this is unfair. The laurel wand seems unable to tolerate laziness in a possessor, and it is in such conditions that it is most easily and willingly won away. Otherwise, it will cleave happily to its first match forever, and indeed has the unusual and engaging attribute of issuing a spontaneous lightning strike if another witch or wizard attempts to steal it. That lightning strike is quite a good defense mechanism. We can only imagine how messy things would have been if the same thing occurred for the Elder Wand. It's worth noting that there are no known witches and wizards in canon that use a laurel wood wand. Maple. Maples fall into the genus Acer, a family of trees and shrubs of which there are approximately 132 species. Most of these species are native to Asia, with a number also appearing in Europe, Northern Africa, and North America. Ollivander had this to say of maple. I have often found that those chosen by maple ones are by nature travelers and explorers. They are not stay-at-home ones, and prefer ambition in their witch or wizard. Otherwise, their magic grows heavy and lackluster. Fresh challenges and regular changes of scene cause this wand to literally shine, burnishing itself as it grows, with its partner in ability and status. There are no known canon owners of maple wands. Pear. Pear trees, which come from the genus Pyrus, are most well known for producing a fruit of the same name. The tree is medium-sized and native to coastal and mildly temperate regions of Europe, North Africa, and Asia. Ollivander had this to say of pear trees. This golden-toned wood produces wands of splendid magical powers, which give off their best in the hands of the warm-hearted, the generous, and the wise. Possessors of pear wands are, in my experience, usually popular and well-respected. I do not know of a single instance where a pear wand has been discovered in the possession of a dark witch or wizard. There are no known canon owners of pear wands. Pine. Pine comes from the genus Pinus of the Pinaceae family. There are about 115 species of pine, although different authorities accept between 105 and 125 species. Ollivander had this to say of pine. The straight-grained pined wand always chooses an independent, individual master who may be perceived as a loner, intriguing, and perhaps mysterious. Pined wands enjoy being used creatively, and unlike some others, will adapt unprotestingly to new methods and spells. Many wandmakers insist that pined wands are able to detect and perform best for owners who are destined for long lives. There are no known canon owners of pine wands. Poplar. Poplar comes from the genus Populus, a genus of 25 to 30 species of deciduous flowering plants in the family Celtic, native to most of the northern hemisphere. Ollivander had this to say of poplar. If you seek integrity, search first among the poplars, was a great maxim of my grandfather, gurgled Ollivander, and my own experience of poplar wands and their owners tallies exactly with this. Here is a wand to rely upon, of consistency, strength, and uniform power, always happiest when working with a witch or wizard of clear moral vision. Two of the Ministry of Magic's most accomplished ministers used poplar wands, Eldritch Diggory and Evangeline Orpington. Red Oak. Red Oak, also known as Northern Red Oak, is an oak in, you guessed it, the Red Oak group. It is a native of North America, in the eastern and central United States, as well as southeast and south-central Canada. Ollivander had this to say of red oak wands. You will often hear the ignorant say that red oak is an infallible sign of its owner's hot temper. In fact, the true match for a red oak wand is possessed of unusually fast reactions, making it a perfect dueling wand. Less common than English oak, I have found that its ideal master is light of touch, quick-witted, and adaptable, often the creator of distinctive, trademark spells, and a good man or woman to have beside one in a fight. There are no known canon owners of red oak wands. Redwood. Redwoods, also known as Sequoiaceae, is a subfamily of coniferous trees within the family Cupressaceae. Some of the largest and tallest trees in the world are redwoods, so I'm sure we can expect great things here. Ollivander had this to say: "Wand-quality redwood is in short supply, yet constant demand, due to its reputation for bringing good fortune to its owner. As is usually the case with Wandlore, the general populace have the truth back to front. Redwood wands are not themselves lucky, but are strongly attracted to witches and wizards who already possess the admirable ability to fall on their feet, to make the right choice, to snatch advantage from catastrophe. There are no known canon owners of redwood wands." Rowan. Rowan, which comes from the genus Sorbus, are comprised of shrubs and small trees from the Rosaceae family. They are native throughout the cool temperate regions of the Northern Hemisphere, with the highest species diversity in the mountains of the Himalayas. Ollivander had this to say: "Rowanwood has always been much favoured for wands, because it is reputed to be more protective than any other, and in my experience renders all manner of defensive charms especially strong and difficult to break. It is commonly stated that no dark witch or wizard ever owned a Rowan wand, and I cannot recall a single instance where one of my own Rowan wands has gone on to do evil in the world." Ollivander also once noted that wizards chosen by Rowan wands tend to be compatible with those chosen by Elder ones. Interesting. There are also no known canon owners of Rowan wands. Silver lime. The unusual named silver lime is a species of flowering plant in the family Malvaceae, native to southeastern Europe and southwestern Asia. Ollivander had this to say: "This unusual and highly attractive wandwood was greatly in vogue in the 19th century. Demand outstripped supply, and unscrupulous wandmakers dyed substandard wands in an effort to fool purchasers into believing that they had purchased silver lime. The reasons for these wands' desirability lay not only in their unusually handsome appearance, but also because they had a reputation for performing best for seers and those skilled in legilimency. There are no known canon owners of silver lime wands." Spruce. A spruce is a tree of the genus Picea, which is comprised of about 35 species of coniferous evergreen trees in the family Pinaceae, found in the northern temperate and boreal regions of the earth. Ollivander had this to say of spruce wands: "Unskilled wandmakers call spruce a difficult wood, but in doing so they reveal their own ineptitude. It is quite true that it requires particular deftness to work with spruce, which produces wands that are ill-matched with cautious or nervous natures, and become positively dangerous in fumbling fingers. The spruce wand requires a firm hand, because it often appears to have its own ideas about what magic it ought to be called upon to produce. However, when a spruce wand meets its match, which in my experience is a bold spellcaster with a good sense of humor, it becomes a superb helper, intensely loyal to their owners and capable of producing particularly flamboyant and dramatic effects. There are no known canon owners of spruce wands. Sycamore. Sycamore is a name which has actually been applied to several types of trees with somewhat similar leaf forms. In Harry Potter, sycamore trees can be found in the Forest of Dean as well as the Forbidden Forest. Ollivander had this to say of sycamores: "The sycamore makes a questing wand, eager for new experience and losing brilliance if engaged in mundane activities. It is a quirk of these handsome wands that they may combust if allowed to become bored, and many witches and wizards, settling down into middle age, are disconcerted to find their trusty wand bursting into flame in their hand as they ask it one more time to fetch their slippers." As may be deduced, the sycamore's ideal owner is curious, vital, and adventurous. There are no known canon owners of sycamore wands. Vine. Vines refer to any plant with a growth habit of trailing or scandent, that is to say climbing, stems or runners. However, in some parts of the world, the British Isles included, the term vine is applied exclusively to grapevines. Ollivander had this to say of vines. Vine wands are among the less common types, and I've been intrigued to notice that their owners are nearly always those witches and wizards who seek a greater purpose, who have a vision beyond the ordinary, and who frequently astound those who think they know them best. Vine wands seem strongly attracted by personalities with hidden depths, and I found them more sensitive than any other when it comes to instantly detecting a prospective match. Hermione Granger notably possessed a 10 3/4 inch wand made with vine. Walnut. Walnut trees are a large, deciduous tree species from the genus Juglans that produce edible walnuts. Ollivander had this to say of walnuts. Highly intelligent witches and wizards ought to be offered a walnut wand for trial first, because in 9 cases out of 10, the two will find in each other their ideal mate. Walnut wands are often found in the hands of magical innovators and inventors. This is a handsome wood possessed of unusual versatility and adaptability. Bellatrix Lestrange notably possessed a 12 3/4 inch wand made with walnut. Willow. Willows, also called sallows, form the genus Salix, which is comprised of around 400 species of deciduous trees and shrubs that can be found primarily on moist soils in cold and temperate regions of the Northern Hemisphere. Ollivander had this to say of willows. Willow is an uncommon wandwood with healing power, and I've noted that the ideal owner for a willow wand often has some, usually unwarranted, insecurity, however well they may try and hide it. While many confident customers insist on trying a willow wand, attracted by their handsome appearance and well-founded reputation for enabling advanced non-verbal magic, my willow wands have consistently selected those of greatest potential, rather than those who feel they have little to learn. Ron Weasley's second wand was notably made of willow. Yew. And last of all, we have yew. Yew refers to various coniferous trees and shrubs in the genus Taxus. In Harry Potter, yew trees can be found in the Forbidden Forest. Ollivander had this to say of yew. Yew wands are among the rarer kinds, and their ideal matches are likewise unusual, and occasionally notorious. The wand of yew is reputed to endow its possessor with the power of life and death, which might, of course, be said of all wands, and yet yew retains a particularly dark and fearsome reputation in the spheres of dueling and all curses. Tom Riddle's first wand was made of yew, as was Ginny Weasley's. Alright, so hopefully that explanation on wandwoods gives you at least a little bit more information on the trees behind these magical instruments. But wait, the fun doesn't end there, as now we're going to be diving into the other primary and equally important component of a wand, the wand core. Like the wood, the wand core will act as an extension of the wizard themselves, allowing them to properly tap into their most powerful, innate magical abilities. If you have the right wand, then you will always be able to channel your magic better than with a less suited counterpart. The wandmaker, of which we are most familiar, Ollivander, has a tendency to utilize 3 primary wand cores: Phoenix, Unicorn, and Dragon. However, what I want to discuss in this video are some of the other, lesser-known cores. First, let's hear what Ollivander has to say about the 3 that he personally uses. Early in my career, as I watched my wandmaker father wrestling with substandard wand core materials, such as kelpie hair, I conceived the ambition to discover the finest cores and to work only with those when my time came to take over the family business. This I have done. After much experimentation and research, I concluded that only 3 substances produce wands of the quality to which I am happy to give the illustrious name of Ollivander: unicorn hair, dragon heartstring, and phoenix feather. Each of these costly and rare materials has its own distinct properties. So, as you can see above, though Ollivander is fully aware of the presence of other available wand core materials, he chooses to stick with dragon, phoenix, and unicorn because they are the most reliable and allow him to consistently make powerful wands. This makes sense because they are all powerful creatures. However, there are other types of cores, and I think that Ollivander is being a little unfair here, as I'm positive some of the others have benefits as well. In this video, I'm going to take a look at them all. Let's start with the big 3. Dragon, from Pottermore. As a rule, dragon heartstrings produce wands with the most power, and which are capable of the most flamboyant spells. Dragon wands tend to learn more quickly than other types. While they can change allegiance if won from their original master, they always bond strongly with the current owner. The dragon wand tends to be easiest to turn to the dark arts, though it will not incline that way of its own accord. It is also the most prone of the three cores to accidents, being somewhat temperamental. Phoenix, from Pottermore. Phoenix feathers are capable of the greatest range of magic, though they may take longer than either unicorn or dragon cores to reveal this. They show the most initiative, sometimes acting of their own accord, a quality that many witches and wizards dislike. Phoenix feather wands are always the pickiest when it comes to potential owners, for the creature from which they are taken is one of the most independent and detached in the world. Unicorn, from Pottermore. Unicorn hair generally produces the most consistent magic and is least subject to fluctuations and blockages. Ones with unicorn cores are generally the most difficult to turn to the dark arts. They are the most faithful of all ones, and usually remain strongly attached to their first owner, irrespective of whether he or she was an accomplished witch or wizard. Okay, so now that we've got the big three out of the way, let's dive into the lesser known stuff. Vila. Vila hair wands come from, well, Vila, semi-human magical beings that resemble beautiful women with white gold hair and moon-bright skin. Fleur de la Cour notably has a Vila hair core in her wand, and Ollivander had described Vila hair as highly temperamental, which makes sense. I suspect that Grigorovich may have used Vila hair in his wands as well. Basilisk. It has been expressed that the horn of a basilisk can be used as a wand core and was notably used by Hogwarts founder Salazar Slytherin for his own wand. This should come as no surprise given his affinity for basilisks, giant serpentine beasts often affiliated with dark wizards. Wampus cat. Wampus cat hair is a core material used by American wandmaker Johannes Jonker. The wampus cat is a magical cat native to the United States, and is actually the symbol for one of the houses at Ilvermorny School. Thunderbird. Thunderbird tail feathers come from the famously powerful magical beast, the Thunderbird, a large cousin of the phoenix that's capable of causing storms. The Thunderbird is also one of the house symbols at Ilvermorny School. Snallygaster. The Snallygaster heartstring core comes from the magical beast, the Snallygaster. This core was used by Isolde Sayre to make wands for some of those that began attending Ilvermorny School. Jackalope. Another of the wand core types utilized by Isolde Sayre of Ilvermorny. The jackalope antler comes from the fabled jackalope, a mythical creature from North American folklore described as a jackrabbit with antelope horns. Rougarou. Rougarou hair comes from the dangerous dog-headed magical beast that inhabits the US. Rougarou are said to resemble werewolves, sporting the head of a dog and the body of a human. Rougarou hair cores are used by American wandmaker Violetta Bouvet. Some believe that Rougarou hair has a connection with the dark arts, since Rougarou are highly dangerous magical beasts. Serafina Picari, former president of Makusa, has a Rougarou hair in her wand. Thestral. Thestral hair comes from the fabled magical beast, the Thestral. If you weren't already aware, Thestrals are a breed of winged horse with a skeletal body, face with reptilian features, and wide, bat-like wings. The argument could be made that the Thestral hair core is the most powerful of all wand cores, as the Elder Wand itself is the only wand in existence known to use it. However, it is also possibly the most unstable and most difficult to use of all the cores. Troll. Troll whisker cores come from the facial hair of trolls, massive, albeit stupid creatures that exist in the magical world. Troll whisker cores are considered to be a relatively inadequate wand material, however, they are passable. Dittany. Dittany stalk cores are the only cores in canon that come from a plant. At least, it's the only one that we know about. Dittany is a powerful restorative healing herb that may be eaten raw to cure shallow wounds. Horned serpent. Horned serpent horns are taken from, you guessed it, horned serpents, large magical snakes with a multitude of abilities. The core was used by Isolde Sayre and is said to be exceptionally powerful. Additionally, the wand core itself is sensitive to Parseltongue and is said to vibrate when Parseltongue is being spoken. The core also warns the owner of danger by emitting a low, musical tone. White River Monster. White River Monster spines come from white river monsters, a magical fish native to the White River in Arkansas. The wand core was pretty much exclusively used by wandmaker Tiago Quintana, and the cores were thought to produce spells of great elegance and force. Bone. Apparently, all sorts of bones can be used as wand cores. There's no canon evidence anywhere to suggest that any particular type of bone is better, but apparently they can be used. Wands containing a bone core may also simultaneously contain a shell core. Shell. Similar to the peculiar use of bone above, it has been expressed that shell can also be used as a wand core. Newt Scamander notably had a wand with elements of shell as its core. Coral. Coral exists in our own world, a marine invertebrate. However, in Harry Potter, it has magical properties and can be used as a wand core. Wandmaker Gorovich notably uses coral wand cores in some of his wands. Curupira. Curupira hair comes from the Curupira, red-haired, forest-dwelling dwarves native to Brazil. It is a notoriously unstable wand core, but it has been expressed that if the wand chooses you, then you must be a very talented wizard. Kelpie. Last but not least, well, sort of least, we have the Kelpie hair core. Kelpie hair is of course from Kelpies, shape-shifting water demons native to Great Britain. Ollivander himself has publicly denounced the usage of Kelpie hair in his wands. Early in my career, as I watched my wandmaker father wrestling with substandard wand core materials such as Kelpie hair, I conceived the ambition to discover the finest cores. And with that final note on wand cores, I think I provided you with about as much information as I can on the history and physical characteristics of wands. You are now an expert. With 20 different wand cores and a staggering 38 wand woods that we know about, the combinations are endless, which is one of the reasons that there's so much variety in the wizarding world. Add length and flexibility into the mix, and we've nearly got a guarantee that no two wands will be exactly the same. One last question that I want to tackle, however, is whether using a wand is actually necessary. The importance of wand ownership in Harry Potter is emphasized to suggest that, essentially, no witch or wizard, no matter how powerful or weak, is complete without their wand. The wand chooses the wizard. That much has always been clear to those of us who have studied Wandlore. If you are any wizard at all, you will be able to channel your magic through almost any instrument. The best results, however, must always come where there is the strongest affinity between wizard and wand. These connections are complex, an initial attraction, and then a mutual quest for experience, the wand learning from the wizard from the wand. And from the day the pairing of wand and witch wizard first occurs, the wand becomes more and more a vital part of their existence. The wand and wand owner establish an almost symbiotic relationship. And part of this aspect comes down to the fact that wands are quasi-sentient, able to independently perform actions through their own will. Okay, so wands are important, and the relationship with their caster is important, but the first thing I want to look at here, before we get to multiple wands, is, are they necessary? We see some wandless magic in Harry Potter, and it's always a bit confusing. Wait a second, don't you need a wand to perform that spell? Well, here's the thing. Wandless magic only really stands out to us because of its ubiquity among the wizarding world that we have become familiarized with. Through the books and films, we are indoctrinated from the start to think that a wand is essential to magical achievement, where in reality, wandless magic is actually a norm for other species and cultures. Perfect examples of magical beings that are able to perform magic without wands include goblins and elves, whose lack of wand usage has even prompted them to refer to humans as wand bearers. Expanding on this, in the world of Harry Potter, the wand is said to be a European invention, which means that cultures outside of Europe would have always practiced magic without one. It is said that Native American wizards have their own methods of producing magic predating colonization, and that African wizards only adopted the wand in the 20th century. So really, wandless magic is a lot more common than you may think. And on that note, we've reached the end of this video. What's your wand? What did you learn in this video? Comment down below, and if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to give it a like and to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, remember, the wand chooses the wizard, Mr. Potter. It's not always clear why, but I think it is clear that we can expect great things from you.